I think that so much of this book has a longing quality, and I think that you wrote the other book after you left Africa also, and so I'm curious about that. And then my follow-up is, how hard is it for you to not be able to edit right now? Because I've seen you read before with a pen in your hand, stopping the reading because you want to put a new word.
So many lines that I put in, I mean, it could have been so much better.
I did notice that you edited the part you read.
I always do that. I think reading out loud is different than reading. It's a different thing. And if you don't edit, I think it's weird that you don't. I don't know.
Published.
Yeah, but that doesn't end it. You know what I mean? But to your question about whether or not you need to be there, I think that's really interesting. I go back to Chicago a great deal because my family's still there. But definitely my imagination was like almost set in 1978, like period, and so when I go home, it's not like I'm seeing stuff that is what I see in my imagination. Although I was in Chicago 2 days ago, and it was a beautiful November day in the 60s, kind of like it was today here, really beautiful, and the trees and I don't know, it's hard to imagine. I wish I would be able to get what that was like, being on the lake 2 days ago in November. So that's what I think about. But I think if I lived there, yeah, I would be, worrying about the Comcast bill. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think it's easier sometimes to be in a place, which I think a lot of writers have felt over time, that they sometimes need the distance, but not always. Not always, of course. What was the second question?
That's fine.
Okay, about the pen.
We're good.
And it's
Pat, you've worked with so many different writers. There must be times when you see them going the wrong way. How do you find the balance? Peter was talking about a very light touch. You just mentioned something and he picks up on that. But that can't always be the case. How do you balance what you deeply believe the book should be doing and the stubbornness of the writer in refusing to go that way?
Well, I generally sign up because I do have fiction and have nonfiction, but with fiction, I generally sign up to finish a book. Or I work with a writer before, so I know pretty much that I'm going to like what the writer does. So there haven't been those moments where I just thought, what have I done? There never has been, I'm happy to say. And if I have a suggestion that's a little bit more substantial, it's sometimes in nonfiction, and it doesn't feel as personal. So writers usually aren't very stubborn if they think, maybe that's a good idea. If they don't think it's a good idea, that's the end of it. But generally, I know when I sign a book up that the writing is going to be going to reward in the end. So I'm lucky that way.
I think that faith that you have gives people a certain courage that they might not have otherwise.
Okay, that's good.
To do,
Yes.
Pat, what do you get from both fiction and nonfiction? What do you get from one that you don't get from the other? Why do you do two?
I always joke that from one I learn something and from another I feel something. And it's nice to do both, although the narrative nonfiction is often, very, very affecting as well. But most of the nonfiction I do has story. There's story, language, place often, so it doesn't really veer that far away. I mean, a biography is different, of course, but sometimes not even that is so different. So, yeah, I enjoy doing both.
Other questions? Yeah.
Hi, Pat. I was wondering if there's any projects that you've been submitted to in the past that you rejected, that you regretted deeply after it's been published?
No, maybe this is just all the autobiography that I'm making. It could be, but generally I only regret things that I weren't able to sign up or wanted to. I regret it terribly if the book never gets published. With the resurgence of small presses, that's happening less and less, luckily. So, yeah, I have some regrets, but I like to think that they weren't my fault.
You're not going to tell us though which ones you really